Hi guys, I'm in Scotland in Loch Lomond and I'm here to drive the 2022 Mazda CX-5, which you can see behind me. Mazda CX-5 is responsible for a quarter of Mazda's sales here in the UK. Very important car for them. It was first introduced in 2012 and the second generation car came out in 2018, and now this is a significant update for 2022. It's pretty much a new car with some few styling tweaks, technical updates, and also some changes in the specs and stuff, which I'll go through. It's very windy, it's very blustery, it is raining as well, but it will make for some great on-road action later on. But first we'll have a look around the car. As I was saying, the CX-5 is a very important car for Mazda. It's clocked up over 70,000 sales since 2012. From the new 2022 range, this is the car I drove during the UK Media Drive launch here in Scotland. It's the Sport Black Edition in polymetal grey metallic. Prices for the range start from around £28,000 and rise to £40,000 for the range topper. This one is priced at £33,245, although this actual car added another $580 for the metallic pearlescent paint finish. It gets the 2-litre Skyactiv G 4-cylinder engine putting out 165 brake horsepower and 230 Newton meters of torque. This is a 6-speed manual. You can get autos too, and it drives the front wheels. Also, you can get all-wheel drive. It's available in other models. It'll accelerate from 0 to 62 miles per hour in 10.5 seconds and reach 125 miles per hour. Combined fuel consumption is quoted at 41.5 miles per gallon and CO2 emissions are 153 grams per kilometer. This is packed with equipment including cylinder deactivation, LED and adaptive front lights, auto-dimming rearview mirror, dual-zone climate control, reclining rear seats, a sat-nav with free updates for 5 years, 10.25-inch touchscreen inside, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, radar cruise control, brake assist, lane keeping, high beam assist, and hill hold. There's also Mazda Intelligent Drive Select or MyDrive, along with cruise and traffic support, which is meant to reduce driver fatigue by assisting with the accelerator, brake, and steering in traffic jams. Wow! However, we encountered no traffic during our drive in the Scottish Highlands, but I still wasn't fatigued. There's also G-vectoring, which is basically torque vectoring control. Unique to this Sport Black Edition are the 19-inch black alloys, reversing camera, power tailgate, sunroof, 8-way power adjustable driver's seat, heated front seats, heads-up display, heated steering wheel, wireless phone charger, a 10-speaker Bose sound system, gloss back exterior detail, and unique identifiers such, actually, let's let Jeremy Thompson, Managing Director of Mazda Motors UK, explain the new model lineup and how to differentiate between them.
We've also updated the design to differentiate 3 distinctive models. This bold new look features revised front and rear bumpers combined with new headlight and taillight clusters to give the CX-5 a distinctively more modern and sharper look. In the UK, the 20-model Mazda CX-5 lineup features 5 trim levels: SEL, New Ground, Sport, Sport Black and GT Sport. As before, the entry point to the CX-5 range is the SEL model, which is offered with either the 165 PS Skyactiv petrol or the 150 PS Skyactiv diesel engines. Making its debut with 2022 Mazda CX-5 and offered exclusively with the 165 Skyactiv petrol engine, the New Ground model features a slightly more rugged look. It features front and rear silver underguard trims matched to silver lower body side skirts, black door mirrors and 19-inch black diamond alloy cut wheels. Subtle lime green accents in the grille are replicated inside with lime green air vent trims, while the New Ground's black half leatherette seats have matching green piping. Perfect for an active lifestyle, the boot can even feature a reversible waterproof boot floor and can be specified in the new zircon sand metallic paint colour that you see here. Predicted to be the biggest seller in the UK, the Sport model is offered with a choice of 165 PS Skyactiv petrol or 150 PS and 184 PS Skyactiv diesels. The higher output diesel is offered with a choice of front or all-wheel drive, matched to an automatic gearbox, and is the entry point for Mazda's iActive all-wheel drive system in the CX-5 range. The new Sport Black is another model that offers customers a unique look, offered exclusively with the 165 PS Skyactiv petrol engine and front-wheel drive. It features gloss black detailing on the wheel arches, side mouldings, door mirrors and signature wing grille surround, plus subtle red accents within the grille and 19-inch black alloy wheels highlighting the sporty look. Inside, the black leather seats feature red stitching, which is also found around the cabin in areas such as the door trim, centre console and the steering wheel. Now, sitting at the top of the 2022 Mazda CX-5 range, the GT Sport is the premium flagship model that combines a unified one-colour exterior with a sophisticated interior that features the smooth brown Napa leather and the luxurious textures of genuine wood grain. The 2022 Mazda CX-5 GT Sport also features a wide choice of engines, drivetrains and transmissions with the 2-litre 165 PS Skyactiv petrol, the 194 PS 2.5 litre and the 184 PS Skyactiv diesel available on this grade. As before, the 165 PS engine is matched to front-wheel drive and larger 194 petrol comes exclusively with the all-wheel drive and automatic gearbox with cylinder deactivation for improved efficiency, while the 184 PS Skyactiv diesel engine is matched to all-wheel drive.
Let's have a look at the boot. There you go, it's a power lift tailgate on this car, as you might expect. Now, underneath here, there's quite a bit of room where the spare wheel would have been, but you don't get a spare wheel. Presumably, you get a tire repair kit. There are split folding rear seats, so plenty of space in the back of this car. In fact, this is 510 litres of luggage space back here, expandable to 1626 with the seats down. And you can close it just by pressing this. Oh gosh, so good to be out of that weather and inside a warm, comfortable car. So here we are. Nice, this one's got leather seats and you can see the red piping on this one to match the red pips in the grille. It's got an armrest with actually a little compartment as well. Oh, and a USB, 2 USB slots there, if you can just make those out. I guess that's a pen holder and 2 cup holders, so that's quite handy. This seat, driver's seat, is set for my driving position. I have got long legs and I have been moving it back a little bit whilst doing the drive. I have been doing a bit of the drive already. And you can see that it's just about okay. I mean, my knees are right sort of up against it, my shins are up against it, but it's not uncomfortable. It's just about on the border, but it's just about enough room for it to be manageable for reasonable length of journey, so that's not too bad. We've got 2 vents down here, so no USB, so really nice here. A decent amount of headroom, no problem with that. The sunroof is only up to there, so it doesn't come back here, but then you do get your lights and stuff like that. Pretty good. Let's see what the front is like. Oh, back out into this weather. Okay. Oh my goodness. All right, so we are inside the car now. As you can see, this is it. This is the car. Let's start it up. So the starter button is here, and you see that it comes on. New screen there. The center part of this is digital on there, on that one. You can see that 35.4 miles, despite some quite enthusiastic driving, that's not bad at all. Over an hour and a half driving and then the fuel needle has barely moved on this thing. Nice bit of trim on here. This is a kind of a soft touch panel on here. A decent size, okay size glove box. Over here you've got wireless charging. These are your climate controls. There's your vent. The center screen on there is digital and you can control some of the information from here. So you can scroll through and you can get, you know, all the different things that you want by doing that. Over here you've got traction control off and boot opener. I think that's probably stop start, but all pretty straightforward. Lots of controls on the steering wheel, and this one is a manual. This one down here is pretty much your iDrive, so your volume, and this is your home. You can go to the home screen and you get all the options. You can go through the settings and all the rest of it. So there you go. All pretty good. Oh, and forgot, there's a cubby box here with also USBs in there, so there's plenty of charging points in there. That's pretty good. And also power supply as well. That's also a power supply down there. as well. And yeah, time to give this a drive. Let's do it. Okay, so there are some great roads here in Scotland, obviously, and I found quite a nice one actually. So let's start this drive segment here on this road, and it's a manual car. This is obviously the Sport Black 165 horsepower. This is front wheel drive, but the thing about Mazdas is that they're so well set up, really, aren't they? I'm expecting this slippery road. It's raining, as you can see, it's wet, and I'm expecting there to be understeer, for the car to be sliding, but it's not. I mean, the precision with which this SUV is able to tackle some of these quite tight corners is quite astonishing. Look at that. I mean, that is like, I was expecting that to, and even over like undulations and bumps and where you think the road is sort of going to go off that way, and the level of confidence that you're getting with this car. I mean, this is an incredible little road because it's got it's rising, it's dipping, it's twisting, even it's sort of corkscrewing as we're going through these corners. I am working the revs hard here to keep that manual in the sweet spot. So I've got the display in front of me, 3,000 RPM is where we're at. Three and a bit is actually where it's doing its best work. It's not a problem. But again, there's a lot of confidence here. Not a huge amount of feedback to the steering wheel, but the steering wheel is doing a pretty good job of staying pretty precise and accurate and faithful. So that's pretty good, and obviously that's matched by the front wheels on this quite a tortuous testing road, because like I said, it's not just twisting, but it's sort of corkscrewing and undulating at the same time. And the ride is remarkably settled, considering the brakes are reassuring, which is helpful, but also quite linear, so it's not really like it's that you'd be concerned. So even like down into second, third gear, putting the power down, there's no like front wheel drives. You expect them to scrabble and to understeer and to look at that, like power on downwards into a corner, into a tight corner, and it's fine. The car this is not an all-wheel drive. This is the front-wheel drive, and it's just staying absolutely planted. In fact, this is proving to be highly enjoyable. I mean, partly because the road, but partly because this car for an SUV is set up so well. It's something that Mazda does really, really well with the car. The engine even sounds good. The torque, I mean, just keeping it in. I mean, we're still like the 3.5 to sort of 4.5 spot is where it's doing all its best work. But and I'm working, as you can see, we are really working here. The ride also is very composed. I mean, the thing is, obviously it's an SUV, obviously it's high riding, and we're leaning, left and right, the body is leaning, but at the same time, it's like, it's not alarming in any way. It is what it is. I mean, I wouldn't say it's cornering flat, but it's reasonably composed for an SUV in this segment. So dynamically, I'd say that whatever you may consider in terms of spec or practicality or in any other way compared to rivals in the segment, dynamically, this car is, it's like a rally car. No, it's not. The car is extraordinary in what it can do, and the level of competency that it's showing, on a road and on a surface like and in conditions like this. I mean, wow. Really entertaining. I mean, I've got to say, I mean, obviously you guys can see that this is an astonishing road. I mean, this is the advantage of coming this far out to Scotland to find roads like this where you can actually really, really work hard on a great little road. I have to keep an eye on the nav because I'm not familiar with the road, and then every now and then you see that the road is tightening, so that's quite helpful to have something like that. So honestly, I mean, really, like, you are expecting understeer, and it's not, I'm not saying that, it's not oversteering, there's no oversteer, but you're expecting it to wash wide, and it just isn't, it's really holding on tight. So you can see why Mazda have come here and presented these cars in this environment, because they have that level of confidence that they're like, well, yeah, you know what, normally like SUVs, they would probably stay in the city and do that sort of stuff because that's what they're most suited to. But here, can you heel and toe? You can just about. I'm wearing boots, so it's a little bit difficult. But yeah, I think the pedals are positioned so you can do that. So that's not an issue either. This is such. There you go. A little bit of movement at the back, actually. You know, just in that bit there, but I do actually have a gear display in front of me as well, but I tend to not look down when I'm on a road like this, focusing more on what's going on ahead of me. But I do have a heads-up display, which is quite handy, both in terms of the navigation, but also it gives you the speed, the limit as well, because it has obviously roadside reading and all that, and also the speed that you're actually doing. I mean, it is a very easy car to drive. I guess a lot of people are going to opt for the 6-speed automatic rather than the manual, but the slick change is just fantastic, you know. It's just, the throws are just right, you know. The positioning is good, the where it is compared to the steering column and where you're sitting. I mean, for me, I mean, I'm pushing myself quite far back here, so you got the top end. You see, it's a little bit, maybe it's a little bit of a reach, but it's not too much of an issue really. I will just say that, you know, if you're on the taller side with long legs, you might just want to take it for a test drive first, just to make sure that you're comfortable, because it's a little bit tight here, because the footrest comes up quite a bit, so you find your legs, your knees are constantly folded in this thing, and I am sort of constantly fiddling with the well, at least it's a power seat, to just adjust it a little bit. But generally it's comfortable. The seats are great, really, really good. Maybe not quite as supportive on a road like this, but this is not what this car is meant to do. This is not hot hatch or anything like that. But they're reasonably comfortable. I've already been in this car now for about just 45 minutes or so, and no complaints whatsoever, apart from, you know, could do with maybe a little bit more leg room. Headroom, elbow room, no problem. Visibility around, not an issue. Really not an issue actually, hasn't been so far. But then we haven't done, you know, we've been out in these roads, so we haven't done any city stuff. So that's a whole different ball game. So now the roads are a little bit tighter, we're a little bit more cramped, and again, one of the things is, like, this is an SUV and the road is quite narrow, but actually placing it is not really a problem, although the front kind of dips down, but you can see part of the bonnet there. But so far it hasn't been a problem. It doesn't feel too big. It feels like the right sort of size, even for these sort of roads, which is to say that, you know, both that it is spacious, but at the same time it's the right sort of size for what these sort of roads. I have to say that third gear is really good in this car for a little really tight twisty road like that, and literally you can leave it in third, and I'm pretty much driving it as an automatic at the moment. Having said that, this is quite a slow corner, but let's see if it pulls out in third gear. No, it's fine actually. I mean, unless you really wanted to punch it out of there, third gear is fine. It's perfectly tractable. It's pulling okay at all, completely without any issue whatsoever. So yeah, again, corroborating the point that I was making there, that third gear is actually a good gear in this car, and it's sort of a nice one to just keep momentum on a road like this. Economy wise, I mean, even with that sort of driving, I'm still, like I said, driving about 45 minutes or so. Most of it relatively smooth, but then the last bit really sort of using up all the revs in the lower gears, climbing up that fantastic hill, course almost, you know, and it's still showing me nearly 36 miles per gallon. So that's not unreasonable at all. And I think that, you know, normal driving, you'd easily see close to 40, maybe even 40 plus. I've got to say, the ride composure, you know, even on some of these roads which are, you know, surprisingly challenging, because they suddenly, I mean, they're not rutted, they're not so bad, they're actually quite smooth, these roads, but what you do have is these quite sudden undulations or sudden bumps or little hills, almost like you feel like you might jump over them if you go a little bit too quickly. But the ride has been actually very, very good. It's soaking it up very nicely. You get a sense of what's below you, but not in any kind of jarring way, and not in any sort of discomforting way. Like this road now, that was actually quite a rough bit of road there, but not an issue. The car just, you could hear it, so you could feel it in the sense that, yes, okay, the road is not so smooth, but in terms of, you know, the composure of the cabin, it was absolutely fine, not an issue. I mean, I'm being really brutal with this car. I mean, you know, this is not how you would drive this SUV, let's be honest, but because these roads are so good, you know, I'm keeping it in the lower gears and, you know, back on the throttle earlier than you only is it doing it, but it feels quite engaged and it feels quite happy and eager to participate, if you like, and to go, yes, okay, I'm up for this, you know. Which again, for an SUV, for a lot of those people that have to move to an SUV but are actually keen drivers and would still like to have something that, you know, is enjoyable, and, you know, every now and then when you find yourself in a wonderful place like this, will play ball, then this is the sort of car that you want to look at, because, you know, it definitely wants to play ball. Put it that way. So now we're into some open stretches of road, and whilst the car is still performing extremely well, one of the things that I've found is that it is more affected by side winds, because it's a very blustery day. I think the weather's got even worse than it was before, but now that we're in some open area and the car is being pushed around quite a bit. So here's where you can see, you can tell the difference, and you will know that, yes, okay, this is a tall-sided SUV compared to the earlier bit that we were doing, which was, because it was in a mountain, it was and we had the windbreaker of a cliff edge, you know, or a cliff side next to us, and cliff edge is on the other side, if you like. It wasn't so bad, or maybe the weather's just changed, maybe it's just got worse. So it's affected a little bit by that. But having said that, I mean, you know, it's still pretty straight, pretty accurate, not an issue, tracking nice and straight. I mean, again, I could put it on cruise control. You can see that it just starts to, the moment I let go of the steering wheel, it starts to wander across, so it is being affected, but it's nothing too serious. And the stereo is really okay, it's not too bad at all. Could do with a little bit more bass. The screen, the only criticism I have is that Mazda still are not doing touch screens. So when you hook up your Apple CarPlay or your Android Auto on there, you still have to use the knob to select what you want, because that's not a touch screen. And I don't understand why they don't make it a touch screen. I think that, you know, it's about time that they should. But anyway, that's the only thing that I can find that I would have any issue with. So as you can see, you can hear the wind outside. You're not really getting it coming into the cabin. So the cabin is pretty well sealed, but you can just hear it outside because it is passing the car. No road noise, no noise from the wipers either. So that's another interesting thing, is like normally you get like the wipers are completely silent on this car. It's very refined in that sense. So even in these conditions, once you've closed the door and shut out the wind and the rain and, you know, severe conditions that we're having outside, once you're cocooned in here, it's actually really nice and really comfortable. And you literally you shut out the outside world. It's also very beautiful around here. I mean, it's incredible. Nice little lakes and stuff like that, running streams. Very pretty indeed. Definitely recommend it. Come down here if you're going to have a driving holiday. You can get your car all the way up here. Make a couple of days, 2 or 3 days trip of it, I think, and then there's some really, really nice bits of road here. So there you go. I mean, the Mazda CX-5, I mean, it's an update of a car which is already a good car, which what they've done is made it even better through little bits of technology, little bits of spec enhancements, a little bit of more character to the car. But overall, I mean, you are not missing out at all. And in terms of value for money, it's not so bad considering the segment and considering what else you'll be getting for this sort of money. I would say it's definitely one to put on the shopping list. So there you go. Let me know what you think of the Mazda CX-5 2022. Woohoo!
A big shout out and thanks to Jay Williams over at Air Technic, who are top tier sponsors of Brown Car Guy. Check them out at Air Technic Co UK for exhausts, brakes, suspension and body kits. Plus our other major sponsor, Nayagen Solutions. Much appreciation also to tier 4 sponsors, Muhammad Ali Humaid, Tom Conway Gordon and Reza Adil. And of course all these other guys who supporting on Patreon. Brown Car Guy is eternally grateful. Hey, think about joining them over at patreon.com Brown Car Guy. If you can't, don't worry. Just make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube channel and website. Plus follow on social media by searching for Brown Car Guy.